Good? You good? I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Awesome. All right. Welcome. My name is Mike Del Prete, Executive Director of the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. We've been supporting real estate investors here in the state of Arizona for the last 22 years. We provide education, networking opportunities, market information, government affairs for real estate investors and agents, like I said, for a long time here. And one thing we want to do is bring a special guest on, Branden from CIAS, Certified Investor Agent Specialist, because we got to know each other, and we do feel there's a need for our two worlds to collide and talk and have dialogue in our business. So before we dive a little bit deeper, Branden, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks for having me. Thank you for providing me and my team an opportunity to work with you guys, right? Collaboration goes a long way, strength in numbers, all that good stuff.
For sure, man. And
Yeah.
we specialize in the education for the real estate investor. And CIAS specializes in that investor real estate agent world. Can you guys give me a little background on what you guys teach?
Yeah. Yeah. So, ironically, I started in real estate, believe it or not, in 1993 in a little town
Mhm.
in Arizona called Lake Havasu City. I'm sure you've heard of it, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't grow up in money. My parents still don't have money. There's no expectation I'm going to inherit a bunch of property or any of that. Fell in love with real estate, became a great salesperson, great producer. Arizona's always been a pro growth state, so I got familiar with not just land sales or traditional sales, but new construction, and always found that working with investors was great, but I didn't really put two and two together because I just wanted to make sales, right? And then right around 2009, right after the Great Recession, right, we had just a ton of distressed sales, and it really wasn't until that happened that we understood what distress was all about. And it's ironically, it's not even Mike about a short sale or a foreclosure. Uh, Lenders look at distressed properties as a part of condition too. There are a lot of properties with a ton of deferred maintenance, as an example, right, that are still technically distressed. So I wanted to polish my skills a little bit more, and interestingly enough, this particular class was introduced to me. I attended a first class that ever happened was actually in Phoenix, Arizona. The Sharfins, Alex and Katie Sharfin, had the CDPE designation. So I took the class, and not only was the class eye opening for me because one, I understood it better after I left class. I realized I could be an investor, even though my whole life I didn't think that I could afford to be an investor. So I just checked that box like I'll never be an investor, right? And horrible attitude, but that's
Mhm.
a reality. So not only did I take the class, and my wife, who's also my real estate partner, we were like, wow, there's this huge opportunity because we're doing foreclosures and we're doing short sales and we're doing all of these things. And now how can we grow an investor business? And ironically, at that same time, they asked me to become an instructor.
Okay.
And in 2010, I actually became a master instructor for the certified investor agent specialist designation. And I taught almost 8,000 agents from Portland, Maine to Seattle, Washington over 5 years. Great, right? I got different flavors of different ice creams across the country, different investments, all that good stuff. Met some amazing agents and investors. But the market changed for the owners of this designation. And in 2015, they kind of put their business on the shelf, believe it or not. So fast forward to 2022, and my phone rings, and it was the Sharfins, and they said, "Hey, we're definitely not probably ever bringing this back. Are you interested in buying it and revitalizing it?" And absolutely. And there's a couple reasons. One, it really broadened my horizons as a real estate professional. We tripled, right? We were a 300,000 GCI team. We specialized in investors. We built the mega team around it, and we became $1 million a year GCI and real estate agents just using this model. So not only did I believe in it, but it helped me start building our own portfolio of investment properties. And so thankful in so many ways. And it was just like, yeah, absolutely. So So we purchased it and spent a lot of time updating it. Left the foundational fundamental things there, and as our team evolved and as the market changed and all of that, it's been revitalized to a certain degree.
Okay.
And so we just recently launched it, and now we're rolling it out.
No, and part of the reason for those watching and listening right now, I was referred to you guys by several people that I know, like, and trust. So, and one of the things we've always bumped into here is agents aren't taught, the real estate investing business in school or in their trainings or their ongoing trainings in CE. And it's an important part of our ecosystem, right? We all play a role here, and there's always some type of disconnect or confusion. So we want to eliminate that because we all can work together and we all can help each other out. And about a year and a half ago, Commissioner Susan Nicholson here at the Arizona Department of Real Estate reached out to myself here at AZREIA and wanted to start dialogue of how can we educate the community, right? How can we let agents know what we do as investors, and just and also educate investors what do agents do, right? Like,
Right.
we just wanted to get that across, and we've been very successful. And that's what kind of encouraged me to reach out to you guys and bring this, joint venture together, is we want to certify our agent investors in our community to understand the agent world, investor world. This class is for regular investors that want to learn more about investing, and most importantly, the agent that may not know not much of anything about the investment world. This is going to be your time to chime in and learn from an agent investor like yourself, how this world works. So we want to bring CIAS to the Phoenix market. So I'm super excited to have you here, man. So
Yeah.
let's go over a couple things. So I had those 3 points that I was mentioning. Do you want to break those down?
Yeah. You go. Yeah. You tell me which one you think is a priority, and we'll go.
Yeah, and we'll make this short and sweet for you. Listen, we just want to give you a good feel of why you're gonna, you should take this class, what you're gonna get from it, and who you become after you're done. So one thing I've noticed being around AZREIA and around the real estate investing business for 15 years is agents, when they receive an offer from an investor, first there's that stigma of like, oh my God, it's an investor. Oh, this isn't right. This might be, they're in a low ball. They're gonna, whatever, investors are sharks, whatever it may be.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we want to be able to help a real estate agent serve their client better and give them all legal options available to that client. So yes, you're going to get cash offers, seller financing or owner financing, subject to existing mortgage, wraps. There's all these creative terms that when they come in through SkySlope or wherever it is, you're like, whoa, what is this?
Right.
So we want you to be able to serve your clients better by knowing what that offer is when it hits your inbox. Do you have anything you want to share on that?
Yeah. No. I think it's a great thing, right? I think it's a competitive space for a lot of traditional real estate agents, and depending on your market, right? If you're the only house for sale in town, the seller has a lot of power, right? They can dictate a lot of different things. But if there's 100 houses for sale and buyers have more choices, other things, right, come to the surface. Well, with what we're trying to do and how I think this works really well, Mike, with ultimately what you're trying to accomplish is we teach a responsible way to not only invest in real estate, not just about goals and wishes and desires, but exit strategies and all of the things that encompass how people build wealth, right? But more importantly, how we can take that knowledge and build confidence, enough confidence in real estate agents to actually speak the language. And hopefully, like what we did, is we became an extension of our investor goals. And by becoming an extension of what they're doing, it generated real estate business for us. And so, there's a lot of players, and I know you touched on the perceptions that people have, and not everyone is an honest investor. Not everyone is an honest wholesaler, and not everyone is an honest real estate agent, right? There's sometimes this agenda, and they might not even know what the agenda is, but it gets amplified when the market's super competitive, right? So what we're hoping to do is educate agents well enough to not only understand, the why and how, to your point about being created, instead of being intimidated or scared about it, understand that there's a reason behind it, and that somebody's genuinely interested in buying property. You just can't get your feelings hurt because the offer came in lower than what you listed it at. Because right, part of the equation is not just maybe the offers below asking, but maybe you and the seller priced it too high to begin with. Like there's a lot to this. So what we want to do is help bridge the gap and actually teach agents how to kind of work backwards with how the lens they use in valuating a property, right? We teach how to work backwards. In other words, it always starts with location and condition and, functionality, desirability, because you need to understand who the buyer is going to be for that property. So we work backwards, and if this property was brand new construction or if it was completely remodeled, what could it potentially sell for? And it's all downhill from there. And again, the industry just doesn't serve the traditional real estate agent very well in teaching them these things. They just live and breathe on a CMA, and a CMA at the end of the day doesn't dictate what something is worth to a buyer, right? So
Especially like in times like in today's time, it's a slower market here in Phoenix.
sure,
We literally had a seller's market for what, 14, 15 years, right?
pretty
So
much.
yeah, like a lot of people in the business right now, this is new.
Well,
Or
and some of the psychology we teach to that point, Mike, is and I've made this comment a couple times, which is there are a lot of real estate agents out there who think they're good because the market has allowed them to think they're good,
so yes.
right?
Yeah, well, man, for sure. So,
Yeah.
if you've been in the business, like this is the first time you're seeing a stale buy or a buyer's market. Get my words mixed up. Balanced market, buyer's market.
Right.
So it's new to a lot of people. I started in the business in the Great Recession, so I was able to luckily see the type of people that come into the market. So when the market slows down, there's a different type of buyer that comes in, right?
Absolutely.
They see they see the market on sale at some level. So you're
Yep.
going to come in and they're going to have these type of offers. So one, you can learn at CIAS how to understand what these offers are when they come in. Now let's transition into those buyers and maybe doing more business on the other end of it and serving the real estate investor type buyer that's looking for rentals, fix and flips, and so
Right.
on. So because they're gonna want to write those types of offers.
Absolutely. Right. And, we always say it's about the math, which it is a lot about the math, but there still is emotion, right? Not as much. It's not like they're moving in it, but they have to still feel good about the investment they're making. So there is still a little emotion. So one of the primary things that we teach in this course is how to create the investor avatar. So, as an example, we start by segmenting them into 5 investor types: first time investor, a move up or move down investor, a portfolio investor, a performance investor, and then a rehab resale investor, which is also known as the flip investor, right?
Okay.
And once you can just at least start understanding uh, those different investor types, what, some are willing to take on more risk than the others, as an example, right? Or a first time investor can get easily overwhelmed with information. Once you understand the investor types, as you're running numbers on properties, as an example, now you truly have the power to send each investor the right information. So we teach not just how to create the avatar, we teach how to qualify the investor, how to interview the investor, and then more importantly, how to present things to the investor.
Yep.
So
And yeah, that's great because like the story I was telling you earlier about my wife, yes, she meets the investor. She's able to have that conversation. What type of investor? What's your buy box? What's your investor identity? So now she knows what to look out for. Then she knows the location as to where they want to buy. So she sets them up a portal where most investor or agents to say, "Here's your portal. Let me know what you
yep,
like." Nope.
yep,
No, she's in that portal. 10 properties, 40 properties, it
right,
doesn't matter.
yep,
She did her interview like you teach, and then says, here's two that match exactly what you're saying. Review them now, let me know, and we'll set up the appointment and we'll go see it. So that that right there is music to an investor's ears.
Yeah, and the idea is to not, so we teach a proactive model, right? So the reactive model is what most traditional real estate agents follow, which is, Mike's looking for a deal and he knows 100 agents and he's asked 100 agents that he's looking for a deal. But how many of those agents actually asked you what your definition of a deal is? So right back to, do I even understand that 10 different investors could have 10 different definitions of what a deal is, right? That's the first thing. But more importantly, that reaction is, I text Mike and say, hey, I just was on broker tour and I found an ugly house, and I text you the address, Mike, and I say, Mike, this property just hit the market. It's a deal. Let me know if you're interested. And what they don't realize is that Mike, the investor, now has to go do all the work. They got to run the numbers. Maybe they got to do a drive by. Maybe they need pictures. And when that happens, uh, that investor starts to not look so pleasantly at that agent, right? They go, why am I even talking to this person? Because they're not even on the same page with me,
Yeah.
right? That's one aspect of it. And the second aspect of it is, if you actually knew what Mike was looking for, and you knew that that property you just walked isn't what Mike is looking for, guess what? You're not texting Mike now, the address of that property. So, the idea is to say, Mike, let me help you with your real estate investing goals. And it starts with that interview, like we just discussed. But more importantly, now I'm going to change my habits. I'm going to take this class. I'm going to change my habits. And now, as I find opportunity, I'm going to present it to you in such a way, Mike, that all you have to do is say yes or no. How would you like that?
Yeah, I would love that because we're
Right.
this is a different client. This is not an emotional purchase. Like you said
Right.
in the beginning, this is the numbers. So if you could just understand it's not emotional, we don't got to teeter-tot around things and think about it and sleep on it. No, is it where I want it? Do the numbers work? So if you do, and in order for us as investors to get an actual deal that makes sense, we got to write 100 offers, right? So
Right.
the fact that you're going to serve this lead onto our plate that's already pre-qualified and is worth looking at is highly beneficial. We're going to love that. And not only that, oh, the loyalty is always there with
Yeah.
investors. You're going to bring that lead, you're going to get your commission up front, and you're most likely going to be the one to list that house if it's a flip.
Yeah, and I think that, to your point, has genuinely been established in the industry for many years. Like, I think it's easy. Like, think this post NAR stuff. So if you're a traditional real estate agent and you know what happened with the NAR settlement and this requirement to have your buyer agreements signed, as an example. And Mike, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a lot of investors we work with, and they're not going to assign any exclusive buyer right with any one agent,
Yeah.
right? But they're loyal to the deal.
Yes.
And so that's right to your point. I think this is a key component is if we can teach you how to be the go-to agent, you're not going to lose your investors. They're looking for the right people to work with that they can trust, that are presenting them with opportunities that make sense to them.
And there's no investor out there is going to be like, I just want to do one deal. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Oh,
and I appreciate what you're saying, but
like,
but believe it or not, the largest opportunity to us are first time investors. They make up the biggest opportunity for a segment because
okay.
they've never invested before. And so if I'm a traditional real estate agent and I'm looking to create transactional business, I want to go to my database and go, hey, I've got some amazing training that I want to share with you on how you can become a first time investor.
Of course.
We have data and statistics now, Mike, on, the Gen Z as an example. They're okay paying rent, but that doesn't mean they don't want to invest in something.
Good point.
And so, how about we take that first time investor and show them how to do 5 or 10 deals a year,
That's what I
right?
was leaning towards,
Yeah.
right? It's like, yeah, you're not, a homeowner, they got one house to buy, one house to sell. And
Yep.
you call me, if you could bring me 5 flips this year, we're doing 5 deals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
it's huge.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
So and something to touch on is also like the lingo, cash on cash return, cap rate, return on investment, like all this type of stuff that investors use to analyze deals and like and see if they're good or not. So you're going to learn all that and at CIAS. So
Yep.
a lot there. So and then the last thing I like to cover always is the real estate agent. It's how about your personal wealth, right? You're building your own rental portfolio, or maybe fixing and flipping a house for yourself. Because
Right.
I always, say, hey, a homeowner that might be in a situation where they want to sell the house. I always say we talk to don't wanters. There's just unfortunately those situations, death, drugs, debt, divorce that just happen every day in life
Yep.
when the house is more of a headache and they want a better quality of life versus a price of this house.
Right.
Fire damage, water damage, these things just happen and they don't say, hey, I'm going to call Mr. Fix and Flipper. They call an agent or they ask their buddy or their neighbor or their sister, hey, do you know anyone? They say, call an agent. So you guys as agents get these leads
Yep.
better than anybody.
Well, and I respectfully
Uh-oh.
disagree a little bit. I know you,
Okay, okay.
I don't want to sidetrack it, but
No, let's go for it.
I really think that wholesalers do a better
Okay.
lead, they do a better lead generating for homeowners than real estate agents. I really believe that. And I don't disagree with you, right? I mean, the idea of a seller of a property going to the open market is they're almost guaranteed they're not leaving any money on the table because it's the open market. It is what it is. But back to the numbers, I know this for a fact because I teach this class to a lot of different agents. And one of the interesting things that agents aren't realizing is that 25 to 35% of their own market is happening off market and they don't even see it in the MLS. So they're not even thinking to look there. And so just to your point, an opportunity to get in front of a property owner and come in with options and solutions, no matter what their situation, no matter what they're trying to accomplish, but to be able to come in and be educated and have an amazing conversation about we can go to the open market and this is what might happen, or I can bring you a cash offer and this is what's going to happen. And that is where I think we do a good job of bridging that gap because there's a lot to learn. It's not even just the numbers. You hit the nail on the head earlier with just understanding creative financing or the terminology, right? You say subject to, and when I started in the 90s, we called that a wrap mortgage, a WRAP, not a wrap
Yeah,
player.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you beatbox. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So yeah, so the idea is to say, hey, real estate is situational. And if I'm an agent and I get an opportunity to talk to a homeowner and I can provide them with better options and choices, I'm a better agent. And if I learn that, I can still benefit because maybe I'm talking to that homeowner and I want to be an investor myself. Like there's nothing wrong with you investing in real estate, right?
It's
It,
options. Like
it is.
a pro tip here. Like my wife's an agent and investor herself, right? So all our marketing, we buy all the types of leads we buy or lists we buy, it all goes out under her name.
Right.
And her first approach is, hey, let me get you top dollar for your house. I truly believe everyone deserves top every penny they can. If they're in a
Yep.
situation where they can't, I understand. But so the goal in our approach is go try and list it, Dominique, right? But however, since she understands and is in the world with myself, when she starts hearing like, I need a couple days, to clean this up, this is broken, or my son, he's been living in it, whatever it is, she
Yeah.
goes,
Yeah.
well, if you don't want to list it or pay commission, my husband's an investor, like he can provide other options. How about we come to your house together and he'll provide you what he can do and I'll show you what I can do. And then we
And,
just go as a team.
yeah. And you can still say no to either option.
Exactly.
Right.
And you can do this yourself. You don't have to have a husband-wife team,
Right.
but you can go in there saying, hey, I got multiple options.
Yeah. Yeah. An example would be a chainsaw. If I just handed you a chainsaw and said, show me how this works, it's probably going to be pretty intimidating if you've never operated a chainsaw, right? But once you learn how to operate a chainsaw, it should be okay. You should feel comfortable in it. Well, it's the same in real estate. It's the same whether it's investors or commercial. Until you understand how to operate it and how it works, you can always have this tendency to think of it as in a negative way, and we don't want that. We right. You said it earlier. Like I didn't learn this in school. I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook in high school, right? And so not only do we want to learn how to build wealth and share that with other people that can build wealth, we also want to do it responsibly and sleep at night.
And that's what's like when at me, because I wholesale and being an agent, it's like when you're serving somebody, when I was a wholesale, I was serving fix and flippers and landlords. And by building those relationships and having those coffee meetings and analyzing
Right.
deals, I'm telling you why it's not good or why they like it, you build up this knowledge base that the skill that you'll never lose. And going into the wealth building of yourself. So when you are ready, because hey, you guys are closing commissions, man. You guys are making stacks of money and you got a tax problem, right? So
Right.
owning a couple rentals here and there is not going to hurt. It's going to be very helpful to your bottom line,
Yep.
as well as markets change,
Right.
right? They
Right.
go up, they go down. It's inevitable. And when that time is slow and sales are slow, be nice to be able to try some new flipping houses or having a rental portfolio.
Yeah. Something again, people are interest rates, lack of supply. Like I think a lot of people don't realize this isn't the first time, right? There's a lot of people that treat this as like this is the first time it's ever happened, and it's not. So, question that I ask even traditional buyers, Mike, is if you could go back 5 years ago and buy a property, would you? And
Oh, yeah.
what do you think the answer is, right?
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
said, so if we fast forward 5 years from now, would you have regretted not buying today?
Yep.
And so again, it's you get in the weeds, and the only reason you're in the weeds is because you don't understand how to benefit from it. And
Yeah.
that's what we want to do. We want to bridge that gap. We want to create a collective community of like-minded people who are striving towards the same goals and opportunities because there's plenty to go around. No one's missing out. There's going to be a deal tomorrow, just like there was a deal yesterday.
Mhm.
Um, and more importantly, and I don't know if you want to do, I was going to ask you this question if you don't mind.
Yeah. Shoot.
So remember when we first met, we were, talking just like this. And I, I think you had a meeting coming up and I said, why don't you ask your investors like one thing they love or one thing they hate about real estate agents, right? Do you remember?
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah. So what were some of those answers?
You just put me on the spot here. So let me pull up the text messages. Do you remember yourself?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was that the real estate agents didn't understand what a deal was. They didn't
Yeah.
understand the math. They got insulted by an offer. Right? They didn't understand some of the language, and that's the gap we bridge with this training, right? And not only do you get the training, but there's a ton of resources. You get the interview questions for investors. We teach you how to build a team, meaning not a real estate team, but having the right attorneys and CPAs and self-directed IRAs and 1031 exchange companies and like how to, because that's something I always found with my investors that I just met. They tested me in one of two ways. They either said, "Hey, do you have an attorney or do you have a title guy that right?" And they were genuinely testing to see if I actually had people, not that they were going to use it, or they would send me a deal and have me run numbers, and those are just opportunities you don't want to fail, right?
So huge. And part of that, so when you attend the CIAS class, it's here at the Central Phoenix office, AZREIA's headquarters, 16th Street in Camelback, Phoenix, Arizona. You can go to azrea.org/CIAS to get the dates, the price. But going into the team building and running the numbers, here at AZREIA, you get by attending the class, you get 3 free months of our membership, right? We want you to come in, meet the investors, learn the business, and most importantly, build your team. We have vetted business associates that have been with us Some are fairly new, but majority are at least 5 years or more. We have thousands of members that have been using their services. I mean, air conditioner companies, attorneys, property managers, title companies that are all investor friendly. So you yourself can build your team, or you have a quality place to refer your clients to use their services. So you know you're going to get the right resources when you're out in the field. And with the class, you have the workbook. We're gonna have a printed workbook, a digital workbook. You get the calculators, all the documents, everything is included in this class, right?
It is, and in addition to those resources, you have access to marketing, and whether it's flyers or marketing reports or um, social posts, social stories, email templates, all designed and geared around this topic. So all of that stuff is at your fingertips, which is great. So it's kind of plug and play, Mike. There's a ton of videos. The class is already recorded as well. So if you want to go back and refresh yourself
Oh,
on,
great.
a section, you have access to that. And then we do bi-weekly masterminds on Zoom. It's again, it's about a community. One of the worst things, and I know you've probably experienced it, and I guarantee your wife has, is you pay for great training, and then you feel like you don't do anything with it afterwards, right? I think we do a pretty good job of making sure people have some activities to do. We call it scrubbing properties,
Okay.
and instead of maybe reading the news every morning, maybe you just start running numbers on properties, and you'd be surprised that there are deals out there. You're just not used to looking at them that way.
Mhm.
So what we do really from the ground up in its simplest format is we cover the benefits of investing in real estate. We start off by comparing it to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, right? Because a lot of people are diverse. There's nothing wrong with it. Um, and then we get into the fundamentals, right? We get into that cap rate, cash on cash return. We talk about basis, net operating income, all those things that are extremely important. We get into that team building. We get into the investor types. We talk about self-directed IRA strategy. We talk about 1031 exchange strategy. We get into how to present deals. We talk a little bit about short sales and REO, but it's a very well-rounded course, and you're going to get nuggets out of it regardless. But more importantly, we're going to let you leave or get some takeaways to get you started right away. And that's, again, I would say in your market, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have at least 30% of the transactions are investor based in Phoenix,
Oh, yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
And especially in slower times, as in the
Mhm.
Great Recession, it was proven that investors kept kept the market alive. They took these vacant, abandoned houses and revitalized them.
Yep.
So the opportunity is there. So this is a 2 day class, 9 to 5,
Yep.
full day, with Branden. I'll be there as well. I might chime in here and there. And we're providing lunch both days. Like I said, you get all the resources that you need for the class. Obviously, the ongoing training, 3 free months of AZREIA membership to continue your real estate investing activities. Anything else I'm missing?
Yeah. I would say that if you're not sure about the class and you're an experienced investor, I'll bet you a ticket price that I'll teach you something that you don't know.
Awesome. No, love that. So,
So
which prices are normally how much for these
So
events?
we 399 is what we usually do the class for, and I think we're doing a special for 249 for you.
Yep,
Yep.
249 for here in Phoenix for a special event. Which I'm gonna go over the date, which is March 5th and 6th, 2025. So go to azrea.org/CIAS, grab your tickets because we want this thing to fill up fast. Want you to be there. We all want to learn, we all get to know each other. Um,
And if someone wants to take advantage of the price,
mhm.
but they can't make it that class and those dates, we still do these live virtual Zoom, and they can take any of those.
Oh, great. Perfect. And this is, we're just kicking off this relationship and this isn't going to be we don't have the second one planned yet, but this is going to be our first one. So come support, come be a part of it. Get everything you can out of it. azrea.org/CIAS and get your certification. All wrapped up, man. Any last words you want to go before we part ways?
No, and anybody anybody that wants to go rock the real estate world, I encourage you to come take this class and meet the people that Mike is putting together, and come join Mike's organization, because again, there's strength in numbers, and the more we collaborate, the better it is, right?
Yep, for sure. All right,
Yeah.
buddy. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, man.